All right, we'll keep our eye on that story. Meantime, a new book is out today about life inside and outside the royal bubble. The book is entitled Finding Freedom. Covers Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, from their dating life to their decision to leave behind their public duties as royals. Those in the know suggest the couple likely cooperated with the authors of the book. Among the more interesting details, Harry and his brother Prince William were barely speaking to one another before he and Meghan left the UK for good back in March. A spokesperson for the couple says they did not contribute to the book in any way. For more on this, let's bring in Omid Scobie. He is a royal commentator, co-author of the book. Hey, Omid, good to have you with us here on CTV News Channel, and we appreciate you making time from us over there in London.
Thanks for having me. It's been an exciting launch day.
Yeah, I bet it has, and lots of coverage, of course, because there's a whole lot of interest in how this story has played out. Tell me a little bit about, how up close and personal the book gets.
Yeah, I think firstly there has been this great misconception that the couple somehow has secretly had their hands in this, that Carolyn and I, my co-author, had secret interviews with the couple, and that's really not the case. But the unique situation that we had here was a couple that was surrounded by friends and people that they worked with that were very frustrated and concerned by some of the things that they'd read about the couple in the pages of the British tabloids that they felt were so far from who the couple were. And that really was the mission with this book, was to paint a different side to the story, and one that we felt that really didn't reflect what was being said in the papers.
I'm curious, the involvement of these two, what can you tell us?
In terms of Harry and Meghan, there is no involvement. And I think that that's something, when you're writing an unofficial, unauthorized biography, you do need a little bit of distance from the subjects that you may already know well from being around them through their work. But, for Carolyn and I, we wanted to speak to sources close to other members of the royal family to really get to the bottom of what it is that sort of ended the couple's time as working members of the royal family. We spoke to those close to the Cambridges, to the Prince of Wales, and even the Queen herself. So it really provides a balanced overview of everything that happened, particularly in those recent months.
Yeah, and also the idea of the pressure cooker environment for these people. Those of us on the outside don't realize all of the expectation and the obligation and the responsibility that is often expected of any royal, really.
Yeah, it's a very unusual situation within the House of Windsor. Of course, you have the royal family, and then you have the institution of the monarchy, which is really the machine that runs the monarchy. These are the three different households: Kensington Palace, Clarence House, and Buckingham Palace. And all of the staff, the aides, the courtiers within those households have the best interests of their bosses at heart, the members of the royal family. And that creates a very competitive atmosphere, and one that Harry and Meghan often felt victim to, because often, a lot of the time, the information about Harry and Meghan to make them look bad in some of the pages of some of the newspapers actually came from those within the royal households themselves.
I'm also curious about the title, Finding Freedom.
Well, to have freedom is the freedom to speak about whatever you want in any way that you want. And it's very interesting that we see a couple now, as non-working royals, free to speak about systemic racism and social issues that they weren't able to touch on as openly when they're working members of the royal family. As you have to remember, these issues are often within the institution considered too political, which is something I personally disagree with. But that is usually the case with members of the royal family. It's why we haven't seen the British royal family talk about the Black Lives Matter movement. So in many ways, Harry and Meghan have found that freedom that they were looking for. It just took a while to get there.
And I wonder as well, you've written this book with your co-author. You are a royal watcher and a commentator. Omi, are you surprised that this has happened to these two, that this story has played out in a very public way over the last 7-8 months?
I think as we reported the backstory in this book, the thing that surprised me the most was how vocal Harry and Meghan were within the House of Windsor, within the institution, about their grievances. They both felt very frustrated with not being able to answer back to some of the negative media reports about them. They both felt that they all took the last place every time to other members of the royal family. Of course, hierarchy is at place here, but you have to remember the Sussexes at many points were the biggest draw for the royal family at times, and they felt that they weren't being utilised in a clever enough way. And so often their complaints fell on deaf ears, and we ended up with a couple that had to go out and carve out their own path ahead of them. And despite the model that they presented to the Queen at the beginning of the year, that 50-50 working situation, it was rejected. And so here we are now with the couple in California doing everything their own way.
Yeah, one last question I'm curious to get your insights on, Omid, is the idea of whether you think that they are happy with their decision. I know that's a tough question, but as you know, when this all began to happen, there were those who said, be careful because you may come to regret this and don't make impulsive decisions. What's your read?
Well, we're obviously in a very unique global situation right now. The pandemic has provided challenges to all of us that none of us expected. And I think in some ways, Harry and Meghan were expecting to hit the ground running in California. And of course, that isn't what happened. But what did come of that was a chance to really slow down and reflect on everything that's happened and really focus on what it is that's ahead of them. And that's exactly what I'm told by sources close to the couple now, is that they are forward focused at the moment. And the Queen has made it clear that they're welcome back into the fold whenever they want. There's a 12-month probation period that we're still in the middle of. But from what I'm hearing, Harry and Meghan will not be looking back.
The name of the book is Finding Freedom, Harry and Meghan and the Making of a Modern Royal Family. Co-author Omid Scobie joining us from London in the UK. Hey, listen, great to have you with us in Canada. All the best with the book and congratulations on it coming out today.
Thanks for having me.